Hi, everybody. How's it all going?
Sound. Can you hear me? Is my camera on? No.
There we go. Sorry,
My camera's not on. Is that on? Is that on purpose on your side of the fence?
No, you should turn yourself on, babe.
Oh, there it is. Ha ha ha.
Hi.
Hi.
So glad to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to see you. I'm actually going to bounce for 30 seconds and feed my dog. And then I'll be right back.
Okay, knock yourself out.
We got a couple minutes, but if not, they'll be barking in the background.
Right, we don't want that.
We don't want that.
Come here, man. Okay. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and mute everybody. Yeah. Good. So, hi. How's it all going? We've got about 10 minutes till we start. So, if you're just watching this on the recording, you can fast forward past this part to where I clap, or you can listen to us chit chat. So, how are you guys doing? There's a bunch of you here already. Does anybody have any questions or anything you're mulling over, anything you're worrying about or thinking about, anything that's on your mind? Feel free to type it into the chat. You can also, let us know where you're in from or what your business is. I'm always excited to learn who's here. We started to do these calls for the people who are enrolled in our Evergreen implementation retreat at the end of the month, and then realized, what the heck, let's just open it up to everybody. So there are some people here whom I know, but others whom I don't. So, and I know there's probably a little delay between when you type and when I see it, so. Good. Let's see. Here we go. There. I just unmuted you. Hi, Miss MaryKay.
Hi, dear. We're all ready.
Excellent. There's Beatrice from Tepoztlán from Mexico. Hi. Good. So how was your New Year?
It was great. It was quiet.
Good.
Cold.
Yeah. I remember that.
Just like we like them in Colorado.
Just like we like them in Colorado.
It's snow. It was all kinds of good things. Yeah. Gosh,
Yep.
It's been that long since I talked to you. It feels like a lifetime, but it is only January, 17th?
I know. But I actually spent the last 2 weeks sick in bed, like out.
Oh, girl.
Like just napping and coughing. That's it. That's been the last 2 weeks. And today I finally feel better. So I'm like, hey, hi everybody. What's going on? Happy New Year.
Chipper, chipper.
Like the last time I checked, it was January 2nd. So
the clouds have parted.
Right. There's Thelma from Stay It and Stitches, Gaithersburg, Maryland, customized embroidery and heat printing, as well as Young Living essential oils. Excellent. Nice to see you, Thelma. I know people love those oils. I got some friends.
Well, Thelma's going to enjoy one of my demo sites that we're going to look at later.
Excellent.
You might even know this particular site. We'll find out.
All right, then.
Indeed.
Good. Anybody else? I was just inviting everybody earlier to chime in about where they're from and what they're up to. And
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody can use chat, right?
Everybody. Yes.
Okay,
Everybody.
so if we have questions and that kind of thing. Okay, fantastic. Oh, yeah, I see we have some chats coming in right now. There we are. Fantastic. All right, one more. Oh, no, I do have one. I was going to say I forgot to get water. I forgot that
Don't forget to get water.
Get water.
That's dangerous.
Indeed.
So we had a big time with Justin last week.
I watched that.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, it was really good. And I tried to get on live and I could not. So
we sold out. We filled up the seats. Like, I thought that was an urban myth. I didn't realize that actually happened.
Scarcity is real.
The scarcity was real. Just think about it for all you marketers out there. Authentic scarcity. Who knew?
You can trust us.
Yeah, so I adjusted it for our call today, so we should be fine. But I think I did. Yeah, I did. The haze of having a cold, I'm not sure. Good. And and for those of you, if you haven't checked out the training, the first part of this training, it's at evergreenretreat.co. And if you go to the part that says free training, you can just click there. There's no opt-in or anything. It's just sitting right there, and it's gold. It's gold. I was really impressed by, I'm always impressed by Justin and how smart he is, but also by how simple it was.
Yeah, he was very straightforward.
Yeah, like it was just so clear. And I've often had this feeling, when I look at other people's evergreen funnels and I'm like, way dumber people than me are making money at this. Like, how hard could it possibly be?
Yeah.
And when he was laying out how simple it was, I was like, I can absolutely do this. And then I'm thinking, but I'm sure it's going to cost me a fortune in ad buy, right? And he says, no, $30 a day. He's seeing results.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what?
I know. That's awesome.
So,
He's smart. We're fortunate to have him.
Yep. So then, and for those of you who are jumping on, we've got MaryKay tonight talking about educational design and stickiness and upsells and cross-sells. And
we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to go backwards for a while. We're going to go a little sideways. It's all going to come together, though.
I love it. That's what I like, is when things go in circles. And then next Tuesday, we've got Scott DeGrossier from Wicked Reports talking about analytics and metrics, lead source ROI. We're going to make the numbers sexy. So don't miss that.
The end of my slide is, here's Scott. The end of my presentation tonight is handing it off to him, basically.
Yep. That's right. Yes. You guys go together like three little pigs. No, like three, like a beginning, middle, and end, really. Yeah. Good. So we've got about 3 minutes till we start. So make sure you all have a pad and paper, because you are absolutely going to want to take notes. Make sure you have a glass of water or some tea or something to drink. And make sure you've closed out all the other windows and browsers. And if you've got Dropbox or anything automatically syncing, you want to turn that off. Because these live webinars are so much fun and they're so beautiful and so interactive, but they really eat up a lot of space.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure, and if anybody else in your house is like downloading something or watching something online, you're just going to have to ask them to stop, because this is more important. So
absolutely.
Eat up your bandwidth.
Preserve your bandwidth.
That's right.
Yeah, and if anybody knows they have a burning question, go ahead and type it into the chat box. I mean, sometimes you may not know what your question is at this point, but you may know that you have a question that you want kind of addressed in this portion of our training. So feel free to drop it in, and then that gives me a little heads up for certain segments of this where I can go down different rabbit holes.
Yeah, and I think sometimes school messes us up around questions. Like, we feel like they have to be smart questions or good questions. Yeah. And don't worry about having it be good questions. They don't have to be good questions. In fact, sometimes the best questions are the ones where you're like, I'm not really sure what my question is, but I wonder about this, or it's kind of sticky for me around this, or I get confused here. Like, any of that kind of stuff where you just go, there's a gap between what I kind of understand intellectually and what I know how to do. Mm-hmm. That's the question zone. So feel free to ask any of that. We've got about 1 minute till we start, and lovely to see you all jumping on. So great.
Yeah, I can scroll across here and see. That's nice.
All over the country and all over the world. It's very exciting. Is this amazing that we can do this?
I know, it's awesome.
I mean, even 5 years ago, we couldn't do this.
3.
3, exactly.
No, we had Skype.
Yeah, but it wasn't very stable.
No.
All right. Good. All right. So I got straight up 5 o'clock. So I would like to welcome you all. So, I'm going to do this clap so that you can edit it. Hi, everybody. It's Sam Bennett from the Organized Artist Company, and welcome to this, our second of 3 trainings for the Evergreen Retreat.co event. We're here tonight with MaryKay Morgan from EFG Consulting, and we're going to be talking about how you turn prospects or early clients into raving, rabid fans who buy repeatedly, talk to all their friends about you, send you great testimonials, and basically just empty their wallets into your pocket over and over again because they love you so much. That's what we're looking for.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. So I want to start, though, the way I like to start every training that I do, which is just with a little breathing, just to kind of bring us all into the same space. I don't know about y'all, but it's been a long day over here. And I really want to focus in on what we're up to. And I'm so proud of you all for doing this because it takes some real gumption to say, I'm going to take this time and spend it working, not in my business, but on my business. I'm going to take this time and grow what I know, grow my skill set, grow my connections. So you should feel really good about yourself that you're here. And if you're watching this recording later, thumbs up to you. So go ahead if you want to just put your hand on your heart or your belly. And we're just going to inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. I'll count us through it because it's almost like math. And we'll just do it one time. Okay? So let your eyes go soft. Give yourself a little Mona Lisa smile. Let your belly go really soft. And let's inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you. Thank you for doing that with me. I'm going to hand this directly over to my favorite girl genius, MaryKay Morgan.
Thank you, Sam. I'm really so excited to be here. So excited that we had that spontaneous conversation after you and I connected at PartnerCon. Samantha and I are both involved in Infusionsoft, and we connected. We said we need to talk after this event, and one thing led to the next, and so here we all are this evening. And I'm going to, and Sam, if you'll kind of cue me, what I'm hoping to do here is, let's see, get into the controls so I can share my screen and get some slides going for everybody. There we go. Everybody see the basic slides over here? Yep, we got it. Nod, Sam. Yeah,
looks great.
Okay, good. Okay, fantastic. So as noted previously, what we're going to talk about tonight, this is part 2 of our Evergreen Implementation Retreat pre-training series, and I've titled this Convert More. And what we're going to go over this evening is 7 steps to more customers buying more from you more often. And isn't that really kind of the point of the whole thing, right? We all want more customers, but even better than more customers is when they buy more from us more often. These are repeat customers and referring customers and raving fan customers and all of those great things. And they are uniquely connected to profit like no other aspect of your business, and we're going to kind of dive into why that is tonight on this training. I am, as I noted a few minutes ago, going to kind of step back a little bit, and we're going to talk some about what I call the anatomy and physiology of a business. And the reason being is I want you to begin to think differently about why you are doing what you're doing in your business. And my belief, my experience is that you really need context around what it is that you're doing to help you ground into where it is that you want to go, right? We've all heard the analogy, the map analogy. You can't drive somewhere if you don't know where it is that you're going to go. You have to begin the process with the destination. Even if that destination is fairly flexible, you have to at least have a destination to get things started. And that's extremely true of business. So we're going to start, the first part of this training is going to back up a little bit. We're going to talk about business, talk about profit. And then we're going to, from there, once you have that context, we're going to move forward to understanding it relative to evergreen offers, profits, and building raving fan customers that buy more from you more often. So that's the context to get us started. As previously introduced, yes, my name is MaryKay Morgan. I have been in this industry since 2007. Strangely enough, I have a master's degree in exercise physiology. I did not start my life in marketing, but I think like most people today, we tend to have multiple careers, and some of them are extremely different over the course of our lifetime. But I always knew that I wanted to have a business. I didn't really understand what that was going to look like, but it was just an itch that would not be settled without really scratching it. And so in 2006, I ended a long string of employment in the fitness world and started my business. And it wasn't really a big step to go from what I had been doing for 20 years into a coaching business. It was a pretty short step, actually. And I launched a coaching business called Your Body, Your Guru. And just over 12 months later, I had hit the six-figure mark with that business. And that's great. But more importantly, I actually discovered I love marketing. And I noticed that that was not the case with a lot of my peer group, a lot of the other coaches and authors and speaker types and the helpingpreneurs and the spiritually oriented entrepreneurs. They didn't really like marketing that much. And I loved marketing. And that's really how I was able to grow that business fairly quickly, was I had discovered kind of a natural affinity for marketing. But I was pretty content to just build my coaching business, and all that was great. Well, then in 2008, things took a very unexpected turn. I'm sure no one has ever had an unexpected turn in their life. But what happened was I met some folks at an event, as we all do. And a few weeks later, I got a phone call. And the woman on the phone wanted me to help them with a launch. And I said no. Like, I didn't even understand why she was asking. And specifically, she wanted me to help her find affiliate partners and so on. And so she called again, and I said no, and called again, and I said no. And finally, I was like, why is this in my my presence, my opportunities? And so finally I said yes. And it was a most interesting experience. It was one of the most influential of my entire business career, because on one hand, it was an amazing success. In 2008, if you guys all remember 2008, it was a little shaky time financially. People were worried about money. And so you wouldn't think it would be a great time to launch right out of the gate with an almost $1 million offer, but that's exactly what happened. Did about $860,000 in that offer. Totally put these folks on the map. But then I got to see the ugly underbelly of business, because I moved into that relationship with no contract, no real plan, no just trust. Yeah, we just all love each other. This is so fun. And as it turned out, I had to work pretty hard to get paid for that job. But the other high side of it was it pulled me out of what some people would call playing small and into something bigger. And so from there, I started a business called the Conscious Affiliate Network. Again, since this whole thing kind of started on an affiliate turn, and I was so naive at that time, I didn't even really understand exactly the value that I brought into this relationship that allowed us to do so well with the offer. Later, I did figure that out, and it's actually really what I'm aligned with today. But I started with the affiliate marketing, and then in 2012, I started EFG. And really what my focus is today is to help entrepreneurs identify and package their offers so that they can realize more profits through those offers, and that those profits are sustainable. And now we're going to kind of get into how that looks.
MaryKay, we've gotten the note that, and actually this is true for me too, that we can actually see your whole PowerPoint instead of just the main slide.
Let's go to slideshow. How about that?
Yeah.
Play from current slide. There we go. Better?
There we go.
Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. All right. So these are a few of my friends that I've worked with over the last several years in various capacities. A few of them you will meet tonight in the form of some examples. So as you can see, the vast majority of my clients are in the personal development realm, in the helpingpreneur, certainly information marketers, et cetera, but by no means is this information that we're going to share tonight exclusively limited to an audience that happens to be in this particular genre, although I wouldn't be surprised if a number of you are. And so I actually want to set some context here. I have a philosophy that is to begin with the end clearly in focus. So not only in mind, but clearly in focus. And so to that end, I would like for you guys to type into chat here your answer to the question, why did you start your business? Whoops. I just gave y'all the answer. So you're trying to manage this whole thing. So why did you start your business? Just toss out some answers there in the chat. Maybe Sam, since I don't think I can go from my screen mode here, my view, clicking and everything kind of makes a mess. Is anybody dropping anything in there? Oh, there goes somebody. I see a number 3.
Yep, one says, because I need to make lots of money.
Right.
Sandra says freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know I did it because I wanted to help artists and creatives make more money.
So what happens when we ask an audience this question, why did you start your business? And I don't give away the A-B answers ahead of time, is when we look at the specific answers that people will share, they will always fall under those 2 categories, right? When we've really drilled it down into truth, the answers are going to fall under either a freedom value or, in some cases, a desire for some level of power, right? Those are very similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar. And then, of course, the other is a mission and a purpose, really wanting to make a difference in some way, somehow, in other people's lives. So that is typically the reason why we start our business. So the second question, all right, now PowerPoint, there we are. What is the primary purpose of your business? Who knows the answer to that question? And there's only one answer. That's your clue. Anybody popping in with the right answer there, Samantha?
Hovig says to add value to customers.
Nope.
It's a good answer, though.
It's a good answer. It's definitely a good answer. Anybody else? All right. I'll end the suspense. It's to create a profit. So that's the purpose of a business, is to create a profit. Now, how you create the profit can be aligned with mission and purpose and values and all of those good things, right? But at the end of the day, you choose to start a business because you believe and you intend to create a profit, right? Anything else is a not-for-profit. And they have those too. You can certainly do that. Sometimes your mission and purpose is better served by that business model, or by that model, I should say. But if you are in business, you must be profit-focused, profit-driven. Now, in no way is that profit at all costs, right? But without that, you are missing an important keynote to which you tune all other activities and decisions of your business.
So, and Shaylin is asking, is that the purpose of any business?
Yes.
Yeah. And even nonprofits.
And even nonprofits, at the end of the day, the nonprofit still has to balance the books and be able to do. It just comes with a slightly different structure, right? And so for the most part, we are going to be talking about for-profit business, but know that everything that we're going to share today also has application if you do happen to run a nonprofit business, because as we say, at the end of the day, the money still has to come in and it's still going to go out, and you can't spend more than you bring in over time, whether that's personally or in our business or in our nonprofits. Okay. All right. So this is a quote from me, actually. Profits fuel growth and freedom, giving you the power to fulfill your mission and build a legacy. To me, that puts profit into perspective. This is why we have a profit focus and a profit drive to our businesses, because that's what fuels the growth of the company, fuels the growth of ourselves, providing us with freedom and the power to fulfill your mission and build a legacy. Does that sound pretty good to everybody? Something that everybody can align with? Like, yeah, that's what we want. Hold on one second. Hey, honey. Yeah, thanks. Did y'all hear the TV? And I need a man cave. All right, so the convert more process, the 7 steps to more customers buying more from you more often. Let's get into the 7 steps. But first, more is actually an acronym. And more stands for, the M in more stands for money. Because when we're discussing revenue in our business, sales in our business, profit in our business, it's all circulating around money, right? That's a key component. It's a key marker for our success in business, not from an ego perspective, but just when we get down to quantitative evaluation of how we're doing, that is an important marker for measurement. O is for opportunity. And so within the framework of thinking about your business as an opportunity to grow and touch people, impact lives through your mission and purpose, and grow a legacy business, opportunity is what we're really seeking. R is for results. And when we promise to our audience to deliver a specific result, in my mind, we have an obligation to commit to that to the degree that it is available to us. And one of the things that we're going to go into later tonight, but also very in depth at the Evergreen retreat, is what does that mean? What is our responsibility as the business owner, the content creator, to the results? And I remember many, many years ago being in one of those high dollar mastermind things. Probably some of us have been through that. And I remember the mentor basically saying that you were only responsible to create good content and to sell it. And after that, it was up to the receiver. That taking it on and reading it or watching it and engaging it and integrating it and taking action on it was 100% the responsibility of the customer. And that just never really quite sat well with me. And it wasn't because I wanted to take more responsibility than was actually there, but it just didn't feel right to me. It's like, And indeed, now, several years later, we actually have, to a greater and greater degree all the time, the ability to build into our programs ways to help people move through them, right? And so that is part of our responsibility, is that we want to design and build our programs in such a way that we give someone receiving it every opportunity to get the result that it promises to deliver. And E is for end game. And this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't necessarily think about, especially when they're first getting started with their business. And in particular, it's extremely mission and purpose oriented, because it feels like the end game is just the ability to deliver on that mission and purpose and help other people. And that becomes the end game. And that is part of your end game. But what I want to invite you to do is really think bigger than that. And actually to think about how you can grow your business, even if you never plan to sell it. Like, you wouldn't sell your business any faster than you'd sell your firstborn child. Just no way, right? But I still want you to think about, as we get in deeper and deeper into some of these business concepts, about what you can do to grow your business as though you were going to sell it. Because that is when your business begins to have value external to you. because without that, then we basically are just a slave to our businesses, right? This is what the E-Myth, Michael Gerber, is all about. If anybody has ever read that book, obviously a highly recommended book to read, because it's about building a business so that it turns, so that it works for you and you don't work for it. And I will tell you that this is hugely personal for me, because my business structure, up until really right now, I am in the process of doing exactly for myself what I do for my clients. And what I'm teaching you in this process is to begin to build that leverage into the business structure. So I'm right in there with you guys in actually employing it for myself. It's so funny, you can do things all day for other people, and then you turn around and do it for yourself, and you start hitting all those walls. So just know that I'm right in there with you. I am, because I've had primarily a consulting and an implementation business for the last several years. I'm in the process now of playing a bigger end game, getting more leverage in my business. All right, so let's go to step number one. And step number one harkens back to my background in exercise physiology. So we're actually going to look at business. We're going to look at it in terms of the functional anatomy and physiology of your business. The next thing we're going to do, the second step, is to unpack the profit. Then we're going to learn about the ABCs of more profit. We're going to discuss how to design more profit into your offers. We're going to discuss how to map a more results funnel. So probably everybody on this call has heard of a marketing funnel. Well, we have a little different kind of funnel. It's called the more results funnel. We're going to talk about how to design and build a Convert More platform. This is where we're going to get into some examples. And then we're going to, this is the pass the baton to Scott step, which is optimize for more. So this is really where we take the analytics that we've actually built into our system, both our map, our results funnel map, and also our platform, and turn that around so that we can understand what's happening at our customer level, so that we can continue to improve the delivery and continue to improve how it is that we're inviting people into the next steps.
And MaryKay, I'm going to leave this up to you as to when, but last time when Justin and I were teaching, we didn't really talk about the Evergreen retreat at all. And so then I got a ton of emails afterwards of people asking me like, wait, what is it? And when is it? What's the deal? So if I could take I'm going to guess it would take about 2.5 minutes for me to run down big details. This isn't a big sales pitch or anything. I just want people to have the information.
Yep. I think this is a good time to do that.
Oh, now?
Yeah. Why not?
Oh, right on. Okay, great. Right on. Okay, then. So the reason we're doing this training is because we've got this Evergreen implementation retreat, and I put it together for exactly the reason that MaryKay's talking about, because we've got a lot of people who have great content. They're great at what they do. They've got copy. They know who their ideal client is. They're, the basic foundation of the business is strong. But they need more people, and they need to get a position of leverage. So, and we all know that evergreening is the way to do that. If you can get a system by which you've automatically got qualified traffic coming to you, then you're delivering the content in a compelling way, and then you're able to track the metrics, then that's what works, right? So we're taking 3 days, January 31, February 1 and 2 at the Sheraton Carlsbad. Justin's teaching day 1 about Facebook ads, and it's 90 minutes of teaching, 90 minutes of work time. 90 minutes of teaching, 90 minutes of work time. MaryKay's got day 2, Scott's got day 3. By the time you drive away on day 4, your Evergreen funnel will be up and ready to go. It'll be making money for you on the 4th, presumably. Not to guarantee impossible results, but that's the plan anyway. So if you were interested in this at all, we do still have a few chairs available. We're only letting about 10 people into this thing to begin with. So you can go to evergreenretreat.co, read all about it. There's lots of links to email me and make a time to talk about it, because I don't want you there if it's not right for you. And it's really reasonably priced. It could be tens of thousands of dollars, but it is not, because we work for a living too, so we get it. And that I'll have to say. Yeah, so if this is lighting your fire and you're like, ooh, I would love to do this, and I don't have $7,000 a month to pay for a marketing team to do it for me. I could take 3 days and knock this out, bring a team member with me maybe, and have this up and running. So that's what that's what the Evergreen Retreat is. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I kind of go into some of this content, I'm going to invite you to pay special attention to certain pieces, whether you're thinking about coming or just thinking about kind of diving into this whole Evergreen process on your own after this training. There's just going to be some key areas that if you do some prep work ahead of time is really going to help you out. And so we're going to identify a few of those as we go forward. All right. So this is the functional anatomy and physiology of a business as I perceive it, as I work with it, right? And that's really why I put the word functional into that phrase, because these are the working parts of your business. And as you look at this this stacked scheme here, what I want you to kind of add to it in your mind's eye is that these are not stacked cylinders. They're not stacked disc. Think of this more like cylinders dropping down into each other. And so when we look at each one, there's elements of the others that are circulating through it and affecting it. In other words, just like within your own body, nothing happens completely in a vacuum. You know, you stub your toe, it releases chemicals in your brain instantaneously, right? Toe to brain, boom, pain. I know pain. And then I move my leg back, right? That all happens in a fraction of a second. Nothing is in isolation. And so you can think about your business in the same way. You can't affect one part of the business without it having an effect universally. So the first, we're going to start at the bottom. And we're going to go over these pretty quickly. Now, there's a lot of brand experts out there. I'm not pretending to be a brand expert. This is really just, again, in terms of how your business brand functions and what it affects. So really your brand includes the answers to all of these: why you serve, who you serve, what you serve, how you serve. Your mission and purpose is infused through your brand, your values, your personal values, and how those come to life through your business. The culture that you create around your business. You know, even if you're a solopreneur, you have a culture. You are actually creating a culture around this idea of I'm in business. So all of that really is your brand. Your brand is internally facing, it's externally facing. And when it's honest, it is going to touch every aspect of what you do. That's the bottom line with the brand. So it's extraordinarily important. The second level is our revenue strategy and offer design, and we're gonna dive into this quite a bit later on. And that's going to answer some questions like, am I B2B or B2C, right? Am I selling to other businesses or am I selling to end user customers? Am I selling products, widgets, or gizmos? Or am I into information consulting, or do I offer services, right? Or maybe I sell systems and or software. So there's all of these different ways that we can bring forth what it is that our brand does. And in some business, there's more than one way. Like maybe there's both information and software that you can sell, right? So you're not pigeonholed into any one. Some other questions are, am I selling as a single sale, like a finite product? Or is my offer better served by a subscription, perhaps, or a retainer model in some cases? Am I a one and done, or do I have an ascension and a progression model, right? Such as a certification. I'm a level 1, I'm a level 2, I'm a level 6. Or do I have a collectibles model? One of my favorite collectibles model that many of you guys have probably experienced is the digital marketer certifications, right? They are not a classic ascension, but it's just a whole bunch of them, and you can collect all 12 or however many of those that they happen to have, right? So that's a collectibles model. Are you single or multi-vertical, right? So this is asking the question, do I have more than one target audience that I might be able to basically take fundamentally what it is that I do, tweak it a little bit, and put it in front of a different audience, single or multi-vertical? So these are all questions that we answer when we're looking at designing our offer and then also our overarching revenue strategy. Marketing and sales. Marketing and sales is the popular kid. Gets all the attention, right? If you've, taken a course in marketing or follow marketing gurus, all of them almost are talking about those things that allow us to craft our message, to drive traffic, right? This is how we started the Evergreen retreat training with Justin in his presentation on Facebook, and driving traffic, converting those traffic to leads, right? What's your opt-in? Do you use lead pages or click funnels and, all these, right? This is the sweetheart of the deal. Marketing and sales, converting that lead into a customer or client. It's fun, it's exciting, it's sexy. A lot of people hate it because it also feels kind of scary. And again, this is kind of where I started this whole journey, was realizing that this was something that I really, really enjoyed doing, was the marketing and sales piece. And it is hugely important to your business. And obviously, all sales help us to drive profits. But this is not the most important part. Your real profit driver is your delivery, your support after the sale to help people achieve those results, and your customer service. Interestingly enough, though, and I actually do understand a lot of the dynamics of why this happens, what happens after the sale is kind of the Rodney Dangerfield of your business. It just gets no respect. And one of the reasons for that is that the whole marketing and sales process can be so overwhelming and exhausting that by the time you get that done, you're too tired to really do more than just get your product or program out there. And indeed, a lot of people teach, just get it out there. And that's true, because getting it done is certainly better than not getting it done. But one of the things that I hope for you to take home from this presentation is really how important it is. Take a nap first after your marketing and sales, and then wake up from that nap refreshed and dive into this whole process of delivery, support, and service as part of your business, with a renewed commitment and excitement to what can happen here. Because the conversion to cha-ching is only the beginning if you want to build a sustainable profit machine that you can count on. And I think at the end of the day, a sustainable profit machine is really what we're wanting, more than bragging rights over, how much we made on XYZ launch, which used to be kind of always what you would hear. That was the litmus of success. I did a launch. I even opened the conversation with that, right? With some of my history of the industry. So the delivery, support, and service aspect of your business is the profit maximizer. You really want to commit to delivering what you promise, delivering wow. This is what keeps them coming back for more, and this is also what gets people referring for you. Financial management, this is probably that aspect of the business that's really the least popular. Nobody wants to do this. And don't worry, we're not going to go too far down this rabbit hole. Although I do have a gift for everybody, which is a little cash flow spreadsheet that I developed a long time ago. I'll send it to you, Sam, and then you can share it. And if you're not tracking your cash flow, this little, it's on a Google spreadsheet, so you can take a look at it and copy it for your own. But this is what I have the most overqualified CFO ever in my husband, and this is what he does for our business. And I will tell you that, are you drawing on my slide there, girl? I don't know where that's coming from. I'm not touching anything. Do you see the green?
Yeah, that's so weird. How's that happening?
I don't know.
It's magic. No, I'm not drawing on your screen.
I mean, I really wasn't touching anything. Okay, well, it's not hurting anything.
I'm taking notes, but I'm not drawing on your screen.
That's so strange. Yeah, so it's enormously important. And, every business has ups and downs. And I will tell you that his cash flow management is the reason, why I'm still in business, because when you're a small company, sometimes those downs can be pretty much nail biters, and this makes all the difference. And then this is what Scott's, of course, going to go over with quite a bit. You really must know what numbers to track, what numbers you need to look at in your business. What are the decision makers? How do those numbers need to be presented to you so that you can make a decision on it? Because sometimes more is just more. And you need to know why you're tracking it. And then, again, you use those numbers to make decisions in your business. Oh, wow. It's still there. Okay. I don't know where that's coming from, guys. Sorry. And the last piece is really about leadership. And notice that brand and leadership are the kind of the bookends to this whole process. So leadership infuses all the way down to the brand, and brand infuses back up to leadership. And I do believe that the biggest gain you will ever realize from your business is the person that you become as a result. Also true from a leadership perspective is that the vision of your company is yours to define. That is one of the reasons that we choose to go into business, right? Is because somewhere along the line, we were not able to satisfy a vision, a calling within us working for someone else. A strong vision can pull you through the hard times. Leaders are committed to something bigger than and beyond themselves. And this really goes right back to that number 4, delivery, support, and service. So where this piece of leadership comes in is around your commitment to your customers to really deliver on your promises, to do everything in your power to make it so. And then I really believe that to lead is to have an impact. So leadership is some cool stuff. All right, so that's the functional anatomy and physiology of a business. So let's unpack profit here a little bit. So we can look at it in the simplest terms. Revenue minus expenses equals profit. Very, very, very simple way to look at it. For our purposes, though, for this conversation, I want to break it down just a little bit. And I want to say gross revenue, which is the total amount of money that you bring in sales, minus the cost of goods. Now, many of us who are in the information genre, we really don't have a cost of goods. Most of our cost of goods would be included in the overhead of the company, right? Like how much it costs to host your website and all of those types of expenses that are relatively fixed. They're not on a per unit basis. In some cases, there's cost of goods. For example, if you're a content aggregate company and you are paying to access information that then you sell, then that would be a cost of goods associated with an information product. But for the most part, that's going to be limited to physical products. It's literally how much it costs you to put that widget out onto the shelf or in that customer's hands. What we do have is, because I would suspect that most of us are marketing in what's called direct response marketing. We're not Coca-Cola. We're not putting up billboards and running commercials during the Super Bowl, right? We are doing Facebook ads and working maybe with referral partners or any one of a number of ways that we directly reach our customer. And so in that setting, we are going to have a definable per unit advertising cost. And that goes into the gross revenue, subtracting from the gross revenue to come up with a gross profit. Then from there, once we have our gross profit, then we're going to subtract the overhead. Now, in some businesses, if you want to kind of, let's say you have 2 or 3 verticals that you serve. Let's say you are in the pet care industry and you have a cat vertical and a dog vertical and a fish vertical and a horse vertical, and you want to look at those separately. So you might do an allocated overhead in a situation like that. But for the most part, it's the overhead of your business, all those things that you pay for every month, including hopefully your own salary, that you have you're paid a salary rather than skimming off the top. And that comes up with a number called earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT. Some of you guys may have heard that phrase. And that's usually the multiplier, the number that is used to multiply by to determine what you would sell your business for if you were to sell it. So if you have an EBIT of $1 million and the multiplier for your industry and your the revenue models that your business employs, let's say, is 7, then the asking price for your business would be $7 million. Another reason why we want to build value into that end game. And then when we get down to really and truly the money that's left over for us to grow our businesses, grow our own lives, that comes after we've paid taxes and then interest. If you have anything that you pay interest on, a lot of smaller businesses have credit card debt, right? Some credit cards have very high interest, so that's got to get subtracted out. So that comes down to retained earnings, which really, when we think of profits in our mind, that what is left over thing, that's what we're talking about. So the point at which we, in our types of business, have the most flexibility, can shift this equation in our favor, is really right here. This per unit advertising cost is the biggest adjuster. And I know one of the great things about having Justin on board with this team is he really knows how to dial in particular, your Facebook ads to get that per unit cost down as low as possible. And that said, the realities are that advertising is still going to be quite expensive, right? Especially when you're just trying to get things started. So that per unit cost right there is the biggest variable. But guess what? How many times do you have to pay that cost? Who knows? 1, right? You only have to acquire that customer once. In most cases, that's, hopefully. I do know some businesses that perhaps don't manage their lists as well as they could. And so they actually spend money to get people to come back. But ideally, we don't want to spend too much money trying to get people to come back. Ideally, we want to kind of set this up well from the beginning so that someone does come into relationship with us, they become a customer, and then they become a customer again and again and again. But that advertising cost already gets factored out on that first buy. So it helps to drive up our profitability. And if you guys have never read this book, or maybe even have never seen it, it's really, really a game changer in terms of how you think about your business from a profit standpoint. It's highly recommended. Profit
It's
first.
the best book of all time. Maybe not the best book of all time, but it's really powerful. MaryKay, we're getting questions about would you be willing to have us post these slides along with the recording? Is that possible?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much. This is such great stuff. I'm like taking notes like crazy.
You bet. All right. So step 3 of the 7-step system is to know your ABCs. So we just worked step 2 was profit. Step 1 was that anatomy and physiology piece, right? So this is actually step 3. Now, I have confidence that most of us have heard the expression, always be closing, right? It's a sales term, always be closing. The thing about always be closing, though, is doesn't it just sound like that's kind of the end? Like closing the door, you're done. Once you've got that close, yay, celebrate, move on to the next one. It's that sort of, next mentality in sales. And so I decided to kind of turn this on its head just a little bit and think about it differently. So the ABCs in our system begin with always be communicating. And again, as I noted before, I'm right in this process with you guys. So this is an area that I am really needing to up-level and have committed to up-leveling in my own business is more effective communication. The bottom line with communication is we are the only ones that ever get bored with our stuff, right? And especially if you tend to be a creative, there's that tendency for the little monkey mind to tell you, oh, this is now boring, but it's not. So you want to think about your message and your information, as something that is just eternally turning over with your market. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, obviously you're having the opportunity to connect with more and more people, So someone in your audience hasn't heard what you now think is boring that you've said in the past. But the other reason is because the human mind learns through repetition, right? How many of you have had an experience where you heard something, you heard something, you heard something, and then you heard it? And you were like, whoa, right? An aha moment just smack you between the eyeballs. So human beings need that kind of contact with your messaging. So always be communicating. You're not getting boring, I promise. The second is always be conversing. The difference between communicating and conversing is pretty simple. When I'm having a conversation, it's two ways. It's two ways. It's a give and take, an answer respond, right? Makes total sense. If I want to build a relationship, should I sit across the table and just talk nonstop? We've probably all experienced that in the past, right? Somebody who does that. And the last thing you want to do is be around that person any longer than you have to, much less have any kind of relationship with them. But when you're communicating with someone who there's a wonderful ebb and flow, a back and forth, that builds connection. So the question then becomes, how do we do that in our marketing? And how do we do that? I mean, I can't actually just like kind of go talk to everybody really and converse with you really, except in some limited settings, right? How do we do that in a large audience? And the answer is through the systems that we're going to talk about later. We now have the ability to automate a conversation with our audience, to respond to what they are actually telling us through our actions, which is pretty cool. And the last is always be converting. And the difference between closing and converting, although sometimes they're used interchangeably, is, again, closing has sort of a sense of the end, whereas converting is just the beginning, right? I'm going to convert 1, 2, 3. It's a process of steps. That's what a relationship is, right? It's a process of steps. So when we're in business, we want those responses to be relative to people taking meaningful action towards what it is that both we want and they want. So we want it in terms of the business. We want to make the sale. We want to help them get the results. They want the result. So always be converting. So this means don't be shy about creating call to action in almost every communication that you put out in front of your audience. And the last one is sort of a bonus. See, let's always be caring, right? Really care what's going on with your audience. They're not numbers, you know. Well, even though we're going to get into analytics, we're going to talk about how important those numbers are. In the conversation with Scott, these are human beings on the other side of what it is that you do. And when we really, really care, that gets infused in our work. And it's extremely compelling. When people know you care, they're compelling. Like, think about somebody that you know that you have contact with, and maybe it's just through you've opted into their list or whatever, but you can tell that person really cares.
See, now I'm all blushing because Lee just put on the chat, Samantha is a pro at caring.
I knew that.
So we're also a big +1 on agree about profit first. We got a big, like, somebody else is totally in agreement about that.
Yep.
And Shaylin was freaking out over how true it is what you were saying about how we get bored with our own stuff because we think about it all the time. Yeah. But yeah, especially like your lead magnet, your initial communications with people, if they strike you as being deadly boring, it's probably just right.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And this thing, and the other thing I want to underline too, is this thing about being able to have a conversation with people. When I tell other marketers that my list writes me back, they're like, they what? Because it's a conversation, and some of it can be automated and some of it has to happen by hand, but it's amazing how dynamic and how caring it can be with a little help from technology and a little bit of structure. You can really grow way beyond your own two hands.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. All right. So that was step 3. So now we're going to talk about step 4, which is how you design and build more profit into your offers and content. And so I'm going to get into some examples here as well as we start to assess these questions. So this is one of those places I mentioned earlier where I want you to kind of jot down for later, or maybe even jot down real quickly now, some answers to these things, because the first thing that we need to do is to take an inventory of what our offers are currently, an inventory of your current offers. And I'll give you for example from my own experience. What I'm going through with you now in a way that is leveraged is actually the system that I take all of my high-end, done for you clients through. What was really awesome for me in Samantha's invitation to be able to teach this was it really forced me to step back from my own, what I do every single day that, just kind of comes automatically off the top of my head, and dissect it out into its components, its basis, as well as the action steps that get us to the end result. Because when a done for you client is paying you a lot of money just to get it done, they don't care how you do it. They just want you to do it. They just want it to work, right? But for you guys, this is really important for you to have kind of this understanding of the process. So one of the first things that I will do with a client is to look at their current offers. I want to know what they're selling, like what exactly they're selling. What is the product? What does it look like, etc. I want to know how many they're selling, and typically over some period of time that we may be looking at. How many are they selling every month? How many did they sell last quarter, etc. These are the questions that we ask. How much are you spending in order to sell it? This is a good question. How hard are you working in order to sell it? We take a look at the marketing and sales systems that they have in place. We take a look at how effective they are as well as what they are. We look at the delivery, support, and service systems. We look at upsells, downsells, and cross-sells that are currently existing and in support of the offer. We also want to look at external market forces and just the realities of the market. And then the last thing that we want to determine is, what is your goal for that particular offer? Do you want to grow it? Do you want to do more? Do you want to sell more? Or is it just sucking the life out of you and you're ready to kill it, right? What's the reality in terms of what your goal is for that particular offer? So those are all of the things that you want to really allow yourself to look at for each of the offers that you currently have. Then you want to answer the questions. Am I selling to the right customer? So this example, and I'm not going to be able, in some cases, just because of NDAs and things like that, I'm not going to be able to give you exact details for some of these examples, but they're all factual in terms of their essence. They're all based on real people, real situations that I'm either currently working with or have worked with in the past. So this particular case study, we'll call it, was a professional speaker and trainer. And so about 20% of his revenue was derived from what we would call kind of a traditional keynote type of presentation within his industry. He was in a very niched industry. And the other 80% was mostly where companies would hire him to come in and do day training, train their people for a day around this particular area of expertise that he has. And he's known as one of the best trainers in the industry. So in terms of his credibility, all of those pieces are firmly in place. This guy knows what he's doing, and he knows how to deliver exceptionally well from the stage. But a couple of things, he originally came to me because he didn't have a back-end offer. And when you're a speaker, you're on the road a lot, and sometimes that gets old. And so he'd been talking to some folks, and he said, well, I need something to sell on the back end. And I would say, yes, absolutely, that's true. But as we got into the conversation, what I learned was that the customer who he thought he needed to sell to were other professionals in his industry. And he wanted to sell them basically on the fact that this particular industry, like a lot of industries, requires ongoing continuing education credits, right? So surely they would buy his product because of the continuing education credits that they needed in his reputation. Well, there was only one problem with that, and that is that there were other people providing the CEUs for free. So the race to the bottom was already won. There's no catching those people. They were giving it away for free. And he had a few folks, who were like willing to pay more because of his expertise. But at the end of the day, most people were just going for the free, because really what they wanted was the CEUs, and then they were done, right? In the course of the conversation, though, what became apparent was he had another customer, and that was businesses that actually need the end result of what he was wanting to teach other professionals how to do. And so he was actually attempting to sell his information to the wrong customer. He was trying to sell it to an end user when he really needed a B2C, when he really needed to sell it to a business. Once he looked at selling it to a business, now it opened up a huge range of opportunities in terms of how he could structure that offer. He could license the content, to companies to utilize within their own HR departments. He could come in and do a training and then have a back end. I mean, it just became like, oh, and this and this and this and this. As soon as it was identified which customer was the right customer. So I share this story so that you can start thinking about who you're selling to and why, because sometimes it's just a very small step to actually see a much more profitable customer for your offer. Another question to ask, is there another way I could package what I am selling? And I'll tell you, one of the reasons we're all here today is that Evergreen is a better way to package in terms of creating long-term sustainable profits than any other form of delivery. It's much better than consulting. Believe me, I know, right? I'm only one. I can only serve one at a time if I'm a consultant or a done-for-you agency type of a business. But there's other options as well in terms of packaging. One of them that's really hot right now is converting traditional one-off sales into a subscription. Everybody's heard of Dollar Sales Club by now, right? What did they do? They changed the model of an industry. Everyone has always needed to replace razor blades. It was how they did it that became revolutionary with that subscription model. So single products versus subscription, definitely a question to answer. So how do you package it can really make a difference. Have I overbuilt or underbuilt my product? Underbuilt certainly exists. I kind of have a feeling it would not be an issue for this particular audience, because my sense is that those who are tuned in to this are people who really care about the end result. But certainly we've probably experienced products that were underbuilt where, the marketing was enormous and our expectation was like, wow, this is it. And then you get it and it's like, seriously? What? Refund? I bought something from a very well-known entity about, 4 or 5 years ago. It was very expensive. And when I received it, it was audios and all the usual suspects. None of it had been edited. It was just raw from all these different sources.
Wow.
And it was just all put together. I mean, the content was in there somewhere, but you had to listen through to, all this live event bantering and coughing, and it was terrible, right? Until you could get to the heart of it. So that's another way things can be underbuilt as far as quality. Overbuilt, though, definitely has a factor as well. And back to this exact same individual I was talking about a minute ago, when we looked at his core product, it had so much in it that it was sort of like, going to a restaurant, getting served the entire, the entire menu at once. It was just too much. And so people were overwhelmed before they even purchased because of the volume of content. So you want to look into the content, the curriculum, what it is that you want to put into an offer, and ask yourself, maybe I've got more than one thing here. Maybe this is more than one product, which naturally lends itself into an ascension model. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Another example from a client, this gal's in the wellness space. And when we combined her audience, which is younger women, with her offer and with a price point, what we realized was that her primary offer was in effect overbuilt. It was 10 or 11 modules worth of content. It was about $500. And that's kind of can be pushing it at price point in the kind of the wellness space anyway. Her audience was young women between college age up to early career. So not exactly an audience that tends to have $500 sitting around. And if they do, they're going to buy it on shoes, right? A lot of us older women will too, but right.
Shoes.
So it was a combination of factors of just too much. And so what we did was we literally sliced that and diced that into about 6 different offers. We still kept the idea of a core, but we pulled things before the core and after the core so that nothing was over $100. And they were going to be able then to take it one step at a time. And then she didn't have to work so hard to try to sell it. So look at your offer for overbuilt and underbuilt. Have I inadvertently created barriers to entry or completion? Had a coach, a client that did coaching and healing training, and she had a program that was actually her most successful program, super solid. Again, kind of like the first guy, really well known in the industry, a lot of credibility, all this stuff. But the program had built-in travel of 8 trips to where she was over the course of 12 months. 8. So what happened then was the price was one thing, but she actually had to sell that. She had to be able to provide enough marketing push and impetus for people to get over the challenge of having to get on an airplane and spend 4 or 5 days away from home for 8 out of the next 12 months. So if you have a job, if you have, right, can you feel all of the, right? And so obviously what we did within that framework was to build in the ability to offer it in a more leveraged way online. So we put a lot of the content behind the sites that we're going to talk about later, which gave her the ability to read how people were working with the information. And then she went from 8 in person to 2. Big difference. So still in person, she still felt that she needed that, but the difference between 8 and 2 is pretty substantial. So be careful that you're not accidentally building in barriers to entry or completion of your program. Am I missing opportunities for upsells or cross-sells? Pretty much you should not put together an offer, a concept for an offer, without also asking yourself the question, what is a logical upsell to this? And sometimes when you're getting started, in particular if you've been in a coaching or teaching and information marketing in general, the most logical upsell is simply providing somebody with either one-on-one support or group support, right? So if your offer is a do-it-yourself, your upsell is a do-it-with-you or do-it-for-you. Great for coaches and consultants and all kinds of folks like that. But pretty much any offer, you want to always be thinking next steps. Where's the next place I need to take someone to get better results? And then cross-sells, and this will be something we'll go through in the retreat. I have a system with Post-it notes for creating how it is your information infrastructure It's a 3-dimensional model that we actually build with Post-it notes. And what will happen is, as you construct the model, is you will identify tangent curriculum, tangent conversations, tangent bits of content. These tangents off of that core flow of information that takes people from where they are to where you can deliver them, those are the pieces, parts for your cross-selling. Is there another audience that this product could work for? Right? Great question to ask, especially, again, people that are in the coaches and consulting world. Is there another audience I could just repackage this? I haven't worked with her for a number of years, but there's a gal who has done extraordinarily well in the plumbing industry, teaching small plumbing businesses how to market themselves, right? Well, guess what? You could turn around and do the exact same thing for electricians and anybody who has a small service-based business like that. It's going to be exactly the same process, right? Roofers, all of those kinds of businesses are super local. The pool cleaner people, all of those. So she did extremely well in that industry. She could just flip around and do exactly the same thing for as many markets as she would choose. And another question to ask, a little bit similar to the offer question, but even outside of it, is, do I have content just sitting around waiting to make me money? And recently worked with a client who had just an enormous amount of content. I mean, just a creative machine going on. And it was all available open on the website. Now, on one hand, it's like, well, how nice. All this high value information is on the website. But there's a couple of problems with that. The first is that it really was just sitting around waiting to make money. Just needed to be packaged accordingly. But the second is that now that this content is actually, behind we'll say the velvet rope of a purchase, now more people are engaging with it and utilizing it and actually getting the results that it's intended. So when we just put content out there for free, we really need to take a look at that and ask ourselves, is that actually the best location for this particular piece of information that I want to provide? Or if I put it into a product or program, could I actually be more effective with that information? And another recommended reading, this book I have dog-eared, The 80-20 Sales and Marketing. And what this will really help you think about is that idea, we talked about it just a few minutes ago, when you're looking at your offer strategies, your offer structure, is asking yourself, what else can I offer my audience to keep them moving through a system of opportunities to work with me on a deeper and deeper level, right? Because if you're not asking that question and you're not answering it with something for people to purchase, you are absolutely leaving money on the table. And Perry goes through that whole system of and then you kind of realize how much money you're leaving on the table. It's horrifying.
Yeah, that book melted my mind.
Yeah.
I kept having to put it down.
It's not hard to read.
No, it's an easy read. I just, every time I would read up another paragraph, I'd be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I had a million ideas. And it's not just that you're leaving money on the table, it's that you're underserving people.
Absolutely.
You're not giving them as much help as you could be.
Right. Absolutely. So it is a phenomenal little book there. Thank you, Perry Marshall. All right, so we're up to step 5. This has to do with the Create a More Results funnel. So as previously mentioned, we've all heard of a marketing funnel, right? You may You may have some marketing funnels working for you right now, uploaded in your CRM of choice, right? And so a marketing funnel is really simply all of the opportunities for people to take an action between a primary action, which is typically going to be to opt in for something. And then as you take them on that journey to converting them to becoming an initial customer, what happens in the middle? The what happens in the middle is the marketing funnel. And the more points that you are really looking at and evaluating in terms of yes, no, and offering a response based on whether it's yes or whether it's no, the more effective your funnel is going to be. So it's a series of decision points. So that happens on the marketing side. We've all seen them. You might have mind mapped your own or what have you, right? Very, very common. Not too many people create one for after the sale, create one for the delivery. But that's where we're going to go next in this conversation. And, you know, as Sam mentioned, if you decide to attend the retreat, you know, we're going to have these blocks of 90 minutes of training and information, and then we're going to be getting busy, and we're going to be right there with you, helping you with this. And so this piece right here will definitely be a major segment in designing your own delivery funnel. It's an engagement funnel. So some of the things that we're going to look at and track will be the first login to the program. We don't want to leave that to chance, right? That's a key conversion point after someone buys. We want to look at subsequent logins relative to time. How long should it take them to log in again? If they go 3 days, you think maybe we should knock on their door and see how they're doing? So we want to look at subsequent logins relative to time. We want to look at whether or not they've started any defined content segment. So a content segment can be, we might refer to it as modules or lessons. We might have lessons within modules and focus points within lessons, right? So we can slice and dice our content in a number of ways, especially if it's information. But the point is that you need to know your segments, and you need to know which ones are the critical markers so that you know how to track that from a yes, they completed it versus no, they didn't. You want to look at major milestones within any defined content segment. That might be that they, just like with a marketing video, we want to define that they saw the call to action, right? With these evergreen programs, a lot of times that's how they start, with a workshop, a webinar. And we want to know, because we're going to communicate to someone slightly differently, if they logged onto that webinar and saw our call to action, they heard us invite them to buy, versus they didn't make it that far, or they didn't log on at all, right? We want to communicate with them differently. Well, it's exactly the same way after the sale. We want to know if they're completing our content, because if they don't get through it, they're not going to get the result that we're looking for. We want to know, of course, if they complete the program or course, and we want to acknowledge that in some way, shape, or form. Good friend of mine and colleague, Mike Weiss, who has Client Engagement Academy, he is an expert in something called digital badges, which is a very popular way to help people pull through all the way to the end, because we are silly enough to be more motivated by a colorful badge that then we can put someplace, right? In the short term, I mean, really, we want the end result, but what helps pull us through to finish the course so we can get the end result is like a little colorful badge, because that's the way the human brain works. You know, we're not really all that advanced at the end of the day. So Mike's a real expert in that. And then the other thing that he teaches a lot about is something called gamification. And you can just think of that as, you know, how can I make this more fun for getting people through a process? Other things to track is the submission of feedback or a testimonial. These can be a spontaneous feedback or testimonial, whether or not you choose to put comments, for example, on your content. That's an intentional decision. It should not be one that's taken Yeah, why not? You really need to know whether or not that's what you want and why. Asking for testimonials or not, right? You need to figure out what's going to be best for your audience. You want to know if they are indicating an interest in a next step. And you also want to be able to assess and to know whether or not they're referring or whether they're indicating an interest in referring someone into a program. I had this happen to me personally just in the last week. So one of my, I call him my new professional crush. He's the guy that developed the Story brand piece. And so I actually purchased his information product. I purchased the online version, and I was really impressed. I was like, this, and I went through it, and it had all the bells and whistles, and it's like, yes, and I got a great result. And so I found myself referring people back to it, like I'm doing right now. And so I just emailed them. I said, hey, do y'all have an affiliate program, right? Because I'm referring. It'd be nice to get a little cha-ching back for that. And so I got a call back from someone within the team because they were just about to launch a program that simply by me asking if they had a referral program was their indication that I was a good candidate for what amounted to an upsell. Where, of course, I said yes, because, right? It was all perfectly timed. So it was a great example of a really good setup, great content, well executed in terms of how it was delivered, well supported all the way through. If I didn't log in, I got an email, all that stuff, and then pushed me right on through to where when I raised my hand, I was right there ready for the upsell. So I was like, yes, this is exactly what we're talking about. All right. Oh, and as I said, one of the things that we will do at the event is we will create these for you, or with you, I should say, not for you. All right. So now we're going to get into some fun. I don't have access to a clock, but I'm feeling like we're getting deep in time, Sam. So where are we for time? How's everybody doing? Do we need to take a little breath here?
It's about 6:15. We have a shocking percentage of people still with us, which is great. I mean, it's because this content's super, super, super valuable. So I think people are willing to hang on. But I think maybe we'd go another 15 minutes or so.
That sounds good. Well, we will wrap it up because this part we're going to keep a little higher level only because it can get real granular real quick, and we don't want to bog down in too many details. But one of what I have been focusing on in my own business is designing and building what I now refer to as the Convert More platform. I have been searching for a way to express what these things are beyond membership site for like 3 years. It's been making me crazy because what we're building is really so much bigger than a membership site. It's like, yeah, it's a membership site, but it's just way more than that. It's really about this delivery, support, and serve platform that helps to boost the profitability of your offers in all the ways that we have previously described. These platforms contain 3 parts. There, of course, is the website itself. Typically, I recommend that you have a primary marketing website and then a secondary website that is your Convert More platform, although they can be one and the same. The second part is you've got to have a CRM, and so that's essential. And then you need to have some kind of access control software, aka membership software. And a few little details that you want to keep in mind for a website is it's got to be responsive, like duh, because everything has to be responsive today. But when I say responsive, I'm really talking a little deeper than just the fact that it works on your phone. It also needs to really allow people to interact with it, right? Because this is a content delivery site, not just your marketing site. You want to design it for delivery and content consumption, which means it could need to look different than a site that is your front-facing marketing site. And WordPress is certainly the most popular, but it is not the only option out there by any stretch. CRM stands for Content Relationship Management. It is more than list management. So when you're smaller, a lot of times you rely on something like your MailChimp to sort of also kind of be a CRM as well. Well, if I just sort of put it in all these little boxes and things, to really build out a platform that has this ability to be in conversation with your audience in an automated way, you've got to have a little more robust CRM than that. It needs to provide for multi-levels of automation. In other words, not just the email marketing part, but also when people purchase and so on. It needs to be able to trigger actions and whatnot. And Infusionsoft is what we use and what we recommend. But again, it is of course not the only one out there.
And by the way, for the retreat, we are CRM agnostic. If you've got Infusionsoft, if you've got Ontraport, if you've got ActiveCampaign, if you've got whatever you've got, we can work with.
Yep, absolutely. The membership software is, it connects your site to your CRM, frequently as a plugin, most often as a plugin, although there are a growing number of all-in-one options today. I think I mentioned ClickFunnels off the top of my head a few minutes ago, and that's an example of kind of an all-in-one option that's getting more and more popular. Today's options really are more than just access control. So when you get a really good software, it can do more than just keep people out or let people in. It can do all kinds of fancy Cirque du Soleil moves. And our choice, the one that we use and work with most consistently, is Membarium. But again, as Sam said, we're going to be somewhat system agnostic. And then if you do happen to be using the same systems that we really specialize in, obviously there's an advantage there, and then I can get pretty nitty gritty with you in terms of the detail if we're working together on that level. But there are many options here, and that's just one. All right, so let's look at some examples here. And I am going to escape for a moment and pull up. See if I have this right. Yay! All right. So we're just going to look at a few of these. Let me pull over here. There we are. And we're going to kind of go from the simple to the complex. We're not going to look on the back end of any of these. These are, I'm logged into these sites as what we call a test subscriber. So you're going to get to see this in the same way that someone with the same access credentials as my test subscriber would. And so this one is like a super, super simple setup where this particular company has 4 offers. This is the primary offer right here, and the other 3 are add-on offers. As you can see from the images, this contact owns 2 of the 4, and the other 2 are available for use. And then we click through, and that puts us actually into where we can then access the modules and so on. So that's a super simple layout that is just 4 different programs. I either have access or I don't, but every single time I log in, I can see that there are other things that I can look into to add. This site is a lot of fun because the guy behind it is a lot of fun. And this is an example of utilizing a membership site for all levels of your business. Now, I didn't talk too much about it in this presentation because we just didn't have a lot of time to go down this road. But these sites are also really awesome to up-level the marketing side of the equation. And Andy has some really good examples of that. So this particular area is all free stuff. And then when people click through, for example, to watch videos, then he has the ability to tag them based on the type of video that they watched, and then do specific follow-up based on a categorization of free content that he has going on back there. And then he also has a paid subscription program that's delivered here. And then he also has finite programs. So really all 3 levels that are most businesses can probably put together each of these 3, which is free stuff, a subscription, a month after month after month offer, and then something that's a finite offer. And so again, you can see really clearly which program I have access to, and then which programs will connect me to a sales page where I can then go purchase it. Oh, and we got logged out. Let's see if we can get logged back in here. Now you'll all know but you won't know this. My test subscriber email address. All right. Boom, completely different look, right? So one of the things that I really like about the combination of a site, these are all WordPress sites, plus this plugin that creates the controlled access plus an external CRM, is that I have really the sky's the limit in terms of how the look and feel of the site is going to be. And I can really seek to make it a great match for the business, of course, obviously, and for whatever their brand, whatever their brand is about and the values that they want to express, but also in terms of how the user interfaces with the material. So here we have, these are evergreen programs that were originally run live. So this is a good example of simply repurposing content and turning it into something that can earn money ongoing. And so obviously my contact has access to these. You'll notice that this right sidebar over here contains recommendations, recommended for you. These are based on tags because it's Infusionsoft, but a marker on this contact record for the kinds of things that I've been interested in the past. There's actually 10 different recommendations that I have uploaded into this site, and each one is triggered by a different tag. So this particular contact has 2 out of those 10 possibilities that then I can click into and learn more about. But based on my past history, it's like Amazon, right? You also purchased, and then this is just how this process works. But now you can do it inside of your own site. You can also, if you guys are familiar with the concept of retargeting, right? I think Justin probably talked a little bit about retargeting and how enormously important it is. This is internal retargeting. You have the opportunity for internal retargeting. And then this particular site has additional content that flows down to the bottom. Now, once we click access into the course, this is aided in terms of the layout by a plugin called LearnDash. It's a very popular learning management system. And this is what is creating, for example, these are all the modules inside of this course. This particular contact has not completed any of them, haven't even gotten started on this particular course. And then we can also build within the framework of LearnDash. Click to progress. So I can build in a process of either I can choose to allow the user, the customer, to set the pace of the program, or in some cases, I may decide that I'm going to set the pace for the program because I want to build in some kind of an engagement or an integration process. Again, these are the questions that get very intentionally answered, and they are absolutely different from one type of offer to the next, both within businesses, but certainly between business to business. So there's no right way to do it. There's the right way for you to do it for that particular offer that you're wanting to bring forward. Oh, I got logged out here too. Let's find that person with the green marker. All right, let's hop in here. This one, there's actually only one course available in here at the moment. But one of the interesting things that was built in here, so we have the ability to know when someone has downloaded this content. That was something that he wanted built in. He said, I want to know when they've downloaded, I want to know when they've watched videos, etc. So every bit of content in here, whether it's a downloadable PDF or a video, is all connected to to an engagement tag inside of the CRM that lets us know that it's happened. And so they can self-progress, but only after they've done the things that they needed to do. So this is not based on time to progress, it's based on actions. And then the other thing that we did was we took the idea of a quiz or a test, which is another aspect of the LearnDash that's really handy, and we turned it on its ear for this particular offer. And this is actually entries from, in this case, a sleep diary. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's entries that you put in and then submit next, and it moves you forward for as many as you want. But the point being is that, again, it's tailoring it to exactly what the curriculum commands in order for you to best help that customer get to the end of the program and get the results that they're paying you for.
And I just want to say, if you guys don't have a responsive membership site or a really robust CRM that's going to, because you can tell what's happening, right? As you log in, the website recognizes who you are and it looks at your contact record in the CRM and says, okay, this person has access to these things because they bought these things. And so the website and your CRM are talking back and forth to each other dynamically all the time. It's super cool and it's not that hard to set up. I'm not that techie and I can kind of do it even. But even if that feels like, oh my gosh, that's so far ahead of where I'm at, understanding some of the underlying principles here.
Yeah.
Like, so as long as you're not doing, that thing that we all hate of like, okay, here's your 6 audios, bye. Right? Like, how can you structure your content so that you're really walking people with, hand in hand, through whatever it is you're teaching them or whatever the product is or whatever is. And also looking for opportunities of where they might want more, because 20% of the people who buy anything from you are going to want more. That's what
they want more. Yep. And they're willing to pay more and all those kind of great things. Yeah, absolutely. All of the above. Yeah. Don't get to I'm showing you this to help spark ideas, not to be intimidating, right? Some of these are really advanced sites. And some of them are really, really simple. Right? But they're all right for the particular offer that is behind them, right? That's I think kind of the magic thing to keep in mind. So this, I think we have an essential oils person who's, I don't know if she's still with us or not, but I did mention that we were going to do a little essential oil. So this is actually a 2-tiered club that has it's being both utilized as a free level membership and then as a higher level membership. So the whole flow is people come in at the level of free, they get all this great content, but then if they want additional content, then they need to be a paying member in order to do so. So we're actually looking at it right now at the level of free. And so we can access all of these different areas of content. But these are sitting down here because these are actually only available to that next level up in terms of subscription. And so if I don't have access to that and I click it, I'm going to get to the page that says, hey, want more? Here's how you get more, right? So it's a way to, every single time someone logs in here, to soft sell them up into the next logical step for them within the program. And of course, then that happens at that next step. We have yet another litmus that helps people move forward from there. Let's see what else to show you here. Oh, this one's fun. I hope I didn't get logged out. No, I did not get logged out. Mm-hmm. All right. This is a site for a fitness person. Imagine that. But we did some interesting things here to overcome a problem intrinsic to his industry, which is that fitness is largely a commodity. I mean, right? Think about how many fitness people are out there. Oh my gosh. So if you have a membership site for fitness, we wanted to figure out a way. Obviously, we were going to be providing great content. That's a given. There's a lot of great content out there. So how is it, whoops, I got logged out. How is it that we're going to help keep moving them forward? And let's take a look at that. Oh, I hear my husband sneezing. Go log in. Maybe my internet blipped.
Well, and we're just about at time too, so we should.
Yeah, there we're back. So what we did to solve the problem was we actually created a system where they get member points both when they log in and when they when their subscription rolls over. They get these points. As they garner points, that's what gives them the ability to choose a new program. So we allow them to see what's upcoming, but they can't access it until they've gotten to a certain point in terms of the points. So the idea is it keeps pulling them forward through the content, so until they have all of it. And there actually is no all of it, because there's another level after this. You see these are all ones, there's a 2, there's a 3, and so on. So the idea is it just keeps pulling them forward, because fitness is not, there's no end game to fitness. It's just every single day, right? So those are literally in from level of complexity, just some examples of the kinds of things that you can do when you begin thinking about your offers differently, putting them into a delivery construct that allows you to have these two-way conversations, to always be converting, and to move people either through an ascension model, subscription, whatever it is for you, to help increase that lifetime customer value over time, which is the key to profits.
Fantastic. This is like an MBA in 90 minutes. And I think most MBAs would tell you, if only they taught this in business school, right?
Right. I don't think they teach this.
I don't think they teach this. But you can see how it allows you to serve more people, do more of what you love to do, and more automatically, so that it's less of you actually having to stand there and do it. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and type them in now. But otherwise, I want to, let y'all go back to your lives. So for those of you who are already enrolled in Evergreen Retreat, you've got your homework. You want to be answering the questions that MaryKay put forward in these slides, and I'll be posting that on the evergreenretreat.co site where it says free training. And if you're interested in joining us, I hope you'll think about it, and I hope you take the opportunity to talk to me about it. And what I say about it is always this: ask your business what it wants. Oh my gosh, somebody just set off a firework outside of my window. Do you hear that? That was a firework.
I think that's a sign.
Totally. Sign up. So, Mike says this was way complex and you made it easy. Thanks, ladies. Sandra says, thank you. Julie says, thanks for your answers. Yeah, this was incredibly valuable. So yeah, ask your business what it wants. Let imagine your business in front of you and see if you can really feel into where is it calling you forward to maybe offer something more, better, different, less complicated. Let's see. Thelma says, I can see the application for oils, but I just can't quite get my head around how it would work for customization of apparel. I think it depends on what you're looking at, Thelma. It may be that for customized apparel, you're right, you're just looking at a one-off sale, but there's probably people who would buy more if more were available. Like maybe they want to, they're really interested in it. They would like to be part of a community of people. Maybe it's, for like sports teams and stuff that they have to reorder every year. There might be something for them. For family reunions, people who are, any way you could turn that into repeat business, I think could be a lot of fun. Sales teams giving out awards.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sure what her customization is all about, but just again, like I did within my business, was stepping back and going, okay, what am I doing? Right. And then, because once you've dissected what you're doing and you have it in steps or modules or whatever you want to call content segments, you can flip around and give someone a process through which then their creativity can flow.
The other thing you could offer, Thelma, is train the trainers, right? So you could offer marketing tips for other people who sell custom embroidery, right? So here I am, a leader in my industry, and now I'm going to reach out to the other people in my industry and say, hey, let's all I'm going to host this little community and it's $25 a month and we're going to share marketing ideas and I'll do a mastermind call once a month and we'll all put up our best things and I'll have a contest for who's got the coolest marketing idea this month. And, so you can build community and serve people more in that kind of a way. Does that make sense? So that would be a different vertical, but capitalizing on all this information and stuff you already have, but a whole nother revenue stream. And, you want to have several. Thelma says that's an interesting concept. So there you go. Lee says, thank you. I learned a lot. I'm delighted. Good. Lots of valuable information, says Shaylin. Fabulous. Yay, that's what we're all here for. So we would love to work with you further. If you would like to work with us further, you can reach out to us through the evergreenretreat.co website. MaryKay, thank you so much. You are beautiful and smart. And those are my two favorite things. Mwah.
Thank you. Thanks for hanging on with us, everybody.
Thanks so much. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.